Hey everyone, this is Rachel and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. If you hang out until after the video is through, there are always detailed shots of my current layout. Let's get going!
Hey everyone, today I'm working on a layout using a page kit I put together using Felicity Jane products I have in my stash. This is actually a page kit. I made one layout with it, but I had enough left over that I thought I could make another layout. So I'm going to go ahead and do that of my cat Xanthi. All right, let's get going.
All right, so I'm just clearing off all of my things. So when I'm doing these page kits like this, especially within these Felicity Jane, I did go ahead and grab scraps along with full sheets of paper. That way I already have built in some layering pieces and stuff like that. So I have these 4 photos, 2 3x4s and 2 4x6s, but I just cut that one photo down to a 4x4. I'm actually going to cut it down even further later on. But this right here is the basic picture structure I'm going to be going with. So I've got this blue and white striped piece of paper, and it's not a full sheet of paper. And in my head, I thought, oh, what if I used a bunch of the branding strips that I always love the branding strips that come with the Felicity Jane paper. They're really nicely done. So I thought, what if I did every other stripe? So there'd be a white stripe and then a color stripe and so on and so forth. And so this piece had just a little bit of pattern paper on it. So I wanted to be able to cut it straight. So I just added a little bit of ATG to the other side of the branding strip, the side with the actual information on, that it's Felicity Jane and what one it belongs to. So I just did that in order to be able to trim that straight. So I'm just trying out different where I thought the each branding strip looked the best. I originally was going to keep the branding strip on the blue paper, but I decided I didn't like that blue there. That blue is so much darker than everything else. I wanted that more towards the center where you wouldn't see as much of it because it is very eye-catching. So I also wanted it to be closer to where the photos were so your eyes are drawn to the photos rather than to the bottom of the page. So I'm going ahead and lining up all these strips, and you can see Xanthi's shadow as she is once again supervising my scrapbooking. Point in fact, Xanthi actually does make an appearance in this video, but it was while I was doing something I would normally cut out of the video, so I tacked it on to the end. So if you would like to see Xanthi's antics, you can hang out to the end of the video. I show you like the end of the video, and then there's antics, and then there are close-up shots of my layout. So if you hang out all the way till the end, you get to see Miss Xanthi be slightly naughty. All right, so I went ahead and matted that 4x6, and you can see I also did cut down that 3x4 photo because really it's just my grass, and it's like not a very nice area of my grass. It's just kind of like the area near where my nephew played for years, so there isn't a ton of awesome grass there. So I'm going to mat this photo right here, but I'm going to mat it slightly angled. This is all I have left. I'm not going to use it for something else. And since I've got the room to give myself a slightly diagonal stripe versus a straight up and down stripe to mat, I'm going to take that option. I much prefer when matting a photo to mat with a diagonal stripe whenever possible, uh, rather than a horizontal or vertical stripe, simply because all you're seeing is that 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch or 1/2 an inch. It doesn't necessarily give a stripe its best features. Stripes are better when they're bolder, or I mean, you can have a micro stripe, but if you're matting it, it doesn't give the same oomph that a stripe gives in a larger format. So I'm going ahead and I'm inking up all of my branding strips along with the blue and white striped paper. I am going to cut away from this at some point, I hope. Okay, yes, here we go. And now what I'm doing is I am going ahead and taping down that blue and white striped piece very slowly for some reason. I have no idea why. I mean, this is obviously sped up and still it's going pretty slow. Oh, you know what? I've been having issues with my ATG. It is absolutely my own fault. I somewhere and somehow lost the piece, the cover piece that goes over on that right hand loop. And that's what keeps the empty spool in place. And because I have lost it, uh, the empty spool has a hard time staying in place. So that is completely my own fault, not the fault of the ATG. All right, I am going ahead now and taping all of my branding strips down. I am getting them in place, and I do cut away from that, and I am super happy with the way this looks. There's a little bit of mismatch of size, so I just went ahead and trimmed just a couple of the branding strips aren't exactly 12 by 12 or the same 12 by 12 that the backing piece was. That happens. So here we are. I am super happy with the way this looks. I love that darker pink down at the bottom and the darker teal in the center, which, as I said, draws your eye to that color that's slightly different. So, woohoo! Happy with that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get my photos taped down. These are photos of Xanthi outside. Xanthi is an indoor cat. She goes outside occasionally with supervision. She actually is not a wanderer of the outdoors. So she kind of just stays right by where the people are. We have a fenced in yard, so she would really have to book it in order to get away from us. And she has shown zero interest in doing that at all. In fact, she normally doesn't even leave the porch. So I'm going to work on my title now. I knew I wanted a longer title. My plan is to do part of my title with those little mini thickers, and then the bottom section of my title I plan to use a larger font. Okay, words are good. Words are very good. Um, so I wanted to do my title before I did any embellishing because I knew I was going to be using a larger title. I decided to break out this thicker alignment guide that I picked up at Tuesday morning a long time ago, probably over a year ago, and I never ever used it. So at first I'm going to try to just use it like that. Oh, so what I'm doing is I'm writing down the top portion of my title because I want to find the center, because I want the center curve to be the center of my words. And then I'm going to start picking them out. And like I said, at first I was going to um, just kind of place them there from where they are. And then I'm like, oh no, I think I want them lower. And then I'm thinking like, oh, I actually don't know exactly where I want them. So instead what I did was I lined them up on the guide as you're actually supposed to do. And here's where I realized that there's actually a plastic covering over the thicker alignment guide. So they're slightly moving because they're sitting on top of that plastic covering. And this wasn't 100% successful. That's fine. It was enough successful. Wow, that could have been a really bad word there. That I was able to get it where I wanted, and that's where I'm like, plastic covering, you are annoying. Um, and so now I'm going to use a straight one and remove the plastic covering first to do the bottom portion of the title. And that top portion of the title is slightly off. I am completely aware of that. I do go back and fix it. First time using it, wasn't exactly perfect. So I'm going back and I am writing the rest of my title because once again, not words I normally use and I really wanted them to be centered. So my entire title is I am a fierce outdoor warrior. Obviously I am speaking facetiously for my title because she is indeed not a fierce outdoor warrior. So when I was doing the inking of the branding strips is when Xanthi made her little appearance, I believe. So, like I said, you can watch that at the end of the video if you would like. So, I have cut ahead to the end of my words, end of my title, and as you can see, I used these. They're like a very, they're like a slate blue, but then you can see I fixed my title at the top. They're like a slate blue, but like hyper pigmented, if that makes sense. They have slight more blue in them than an actual slate blue. So now I'm going to start to embellish. I have these two cardstock die cuts with open hearts, and I popped one open so I can link them together so they are a double heart. I was very impressed with myself for doing that, I have to say. And so these are from Felicity Jane. I think everything here except that larger flare is from Felicity Jane. And that larger flare, I have zero clue where I got it. I have no clue who made it. This one right here, and it's got the north, south, east, and west on it, and no clue. Just like it appeared in my stash. Who knows? The smaller flare that's still up in the left-hand corner, that is from Felicity Jane, as are, as I said, the rest of my embellishments. So I've got that heart sticker, and then I have these epoxy hearts, and then I did use, I used a flare with a speech bubble on it. Speech bubbles, not my favorite things, but I like the fact that it said true story. It's a nice play on the me being snarky about the title. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw one line underneath the title, because what I'm journaling, I'm using my title as part of my journaling, and then I'm saying, no, really, she barely manages to leave my nephew's side when she's out of doors. So my nephew's normally the one who takes her out because I don't feel like chasing her, so I'm not the one who takes her out. I told him, if you feel like chasing her, if she decides to run, that's up to you. And so far, no running. Okay, I decided I do need a little bit more than what I had left in this page kit. So I went and grabbed some enamel dots. These, I want to say they're from Spring Market, which I don't own any of the line. I just bought the enamel dots. They just have some like nice pale colors. But I did want to bring some more of that yellow in, so I went to this other one from Simple Stories, which had yellow enamel dots. Not Simple Stories, Echo Park. Duh. I can see it right there. But it wasn't the right shade of yellow. So then I went to these, and I believe these are from My Mind's Eye. They're actually from a Christmas line, but the yellow was kind of perfect, so I went ahead and used those instead. So here I have the yellow ones going down alongside the blue and pink ones that I had already placed down. I'm actually almost done here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you could flick me a thumbs up, that would be super awesome. I am going to finish up with some Jenny B Blue, and then once that is complete, you will see Miss Xanthi in action if you want to hang around. All right, folks, bye!